So yes, the Chiefs have some concerns of their own, but there's a couple of key updates going on that is really good news and should make a win more achievable for KC against the Ravens. Sure, basically nobody's picking them to win, you can see here, but there's pivotal players injured for Baltimore. Meanwhile, the Chiefs look like they should have their top offensive weapon back for week 4, and in today's video, I'll break all that down, look at the underrated return of the deep ball, Thornton's rapid rise, and much more. But first, how about those? All right, there's a lot to get into today. The Ravens are traveling to Arrowhead to take on the Chiefs week 4, and Baltimore is currently favored by 2.5 points. Head coach John Harbaugh is 1-6 in his career against Andy Reid. Meanwhile, Lamar is 1-5 against Mahomes since they both became starters and entered the league. 1-4 in the regular season, 0-1 in the playoffs. The one loss for the Chiefs was actually back in 2021 when CEH ended up fumbling in field goal range, with Baltimore holding on to win it by 1 point. All that to say, most of these matchups end up being pretty entertaining to say the least. It's kind of crazy to think that after this game, one of these two teams, the Chiefs or the Ravens, are going to fall to 1-3. It's not impossible to climb out of that hole and make the playoffs. And honestly, I think both of these teams, regardless of Sunday's outcome, will end up making the playoffs. It just puts a lot more pressure on whoever loses to perform near perfect after that. And while the Ravens are favored, they are coming off a pretty discouraging loss to the Detroit Lions. They are a fantastic team, talking about Detroit, but it was a bit demoralizing as they ran for 224 yards and had 4 rushing touchdowns against Baltimore's defense. I highly doubt the Chiefs do anything even close to that on the ground, okay? But they have 2 key injuries, talking about the Ravens, along their defensive line that could help the Chiefs find more success in the run game. The first injury is to defensive tackle Nnamdi Madubuike. It's a neck issue that could be a longer-ish term injury. It's very vague at the moment. Monday Night Football was actually the first game that he's missed in 3 years, and for context on how big of a loss he is for the team, he was 3rd in sacks last year with 6.5 and 2nd in tackles for loss with 11. Then linebacker Kyle Van Noy has a hamstring injury and will most likely miss a few weeks. He had 12.5 sacks along with 14 tackles for loss last season. Both led the team. So yeah, 2 very key players along that D-line will most likely be MIA, and the Chiefs offense needs to take advantage of that. Mahomes said today that the Ravens are a prideful group. They will not be happy after watching the film against the Lions game and will come out with a mission of stopping the run. So it's going to be a great challenge to see how they do on the ground and use that to complement the pass game. Mahomes, of course, said he wants to be more balanced with how effective they are in the run against the pass. It all kind of helps complement each other, but they have at least continued to stay aggressive with shots down the field. Believe it or not, Patrick Mahomes has taken 14 shots of over 20-plus air yards down the field, and that's tied for second most, only behind Russell Let's Ride Wilson, who just got benched this week, with the Giants opting to start the rookie Jackson Dart from here on out. Spags just ended Russell's career, which is kind of sad to see, but I'm happy that the Chiefs got the win, to be clear here. Anyway, back to the deep ball. Things haven't been perfect, but as you can see in this graph labeled QB accuracy and efficiency on deep passes through 3 weeks, Mahomes is in the upper right quadrant, barely yes, but it's right near Baker Mayfield and around 11th in the NFL with no wide receiver 1, no wide receiver 2, and absolutely no run game. He's currently 8th in yards gained from passes over 20-plus yards, just ahead of Jordan Love and right behind Lamar Jackson. He's tied for 7th with Darnold, Kyler Murray, and Justin Herbert in big-time throws as well, which are passes with excellent ball location and timing thrown further down the field and or into a tighter window. And then, if that wasn't enough, his average depth of target on deep throws is literally right there at the top with Jordan Love and Russell Wilson. In summary, the deep ball isn't the problem some people try to make it out to be, and Mahomes has intentionally gotten better and improved and is trying to be more aggressive downfield. He said he wants to take even more shots, more deep shots as time goes on. He wants to hit on 3 to 4, maybe even up to 5 to 6 a game rather than the 1 to 2 that it's been. He's just got to keep going out there and giving his guys chances. Tyquan Thornton has obviously been the primary target out there, and he currently has the highest average depth of target in the league at 25.2 air yards. Thornton is averaging 19 yards per reception, which is tied for second with Alec Pierce and only behind Jamison Williams. 6 of his 9 receptions on the year have been for first downs. He's had a couple of tutties, but he was very close to 3 or 4 in the Giants game alone, which is kind of crazy. One was the deep ball he caught at the 1-yard line, but the other was on 3rd and 1 that if he caught it, Thornton would have quickly taken it to the crib. Mahomes said he threw it quickly on that play there because it was a run-pass option and he kind of had to let it fly so a lineman wouldn't get flagged for being too far downfield. He expected or wanted Thornton to get his head around a little bit quicker, but Thornton tried to get a little bit more space downfield first and the timing was just a bit off. Mahomes said Thornton is going to learn from that, and I truly believe it because they've only had 3 games together to build rapport and they've already shown quite a bit of progress. Thornton spoke with the media today as well, saying that they've been working on that kind of stuff since he came to KC last November. That's when he signed to the practice squad and began building that bond and getting comfortable with the offense. The mindset is to continue to be aggressive. They've got a lot of weapons on the offense and want to keep attacking, and Tyquan has really enjoyed making plays for the team, not taking any of those opportunities for granted. It could help things even further if Xavier Worthy plays in this game, and every player on the roster did practice in some capacity today, so that includes Xavier Worthy, Brian Cook, who got banged up in the Giants game, as well as Christian Fulton and Mike Dana, who both did not play last week. In fact, Big Red said there's growing optimism on a return for Xavier Worthy this week against the Ravens. They're going to evaluate him and take it day to day, but he feels good, so, quote, "We'll see. If he does play this week, it'll open things up even more for this offense, that is for sure. I just don't know what to expect from Worthy given the injury sustained and the increased chance of re-injury on literally any given play, but I do want to be as optimistic as I can here, and he was a full participant today. That's great news, and Harold Kuntz of Fox 4 said Worthy getting the FP. Full participant means it's very likely he'll be back for the Ravens game, so that is obviously some great news there. We'll see how Worthy trends the rest of the week, Thursday, Friday, but that is about as good of news as you could hope for regarding Xavier Worthy. And Worthy's potential return is important because the reality is the Chiefs need to put up points against this Ravens team because they are a bit Jekyll and Hyde right now. The defense is giving up some of the most yards and most points per game in the league right now. Meanwhile, the Ravens offense, very high-powered, scoring 37 points per game. So to help Spags and that defense out in a perfect world, Casey finds a way to put up, 27, 30-ish points because, again, the Ravens are averaging well over 30. I don't think they put up that much on Spags and Casey's defense in this one, but the offense is going to need to get several touchdowns in order to get a W. It'll also help if Harrison Butker makes all of his attempts as well. Through 3 games, he's almost missed 5 kicks. 1 went in on a doink, but he's also missed 2 extra points and 2 field goals so far, which is very uncharacteristic of him. 3 games is a pretty small sample size, to be fair, so the hope for me is he turns it around and helps put up as many points as possible on Sunday. Next up, I did also want to mention that wide receiver 1, Rashee Rice, is back in the building. Mr. EGE himself. He could be seen posting on his IG stories today. He was hanging out with Wanye Morris, but Andy Reid confirmed earlier this week that Rice could return and would be in meetings since his suspension is now halfway over and he's allowed to do so by the league. Mahomes shared that it's good to have Rice in the building. He always has a smile on his face and they all love having him back. It gives a boost to the whole receiving room and the offense. Rice can't help the offense until week 7 against the Raiders, okay, but in a perfect world, Hollywood Brown and Juju Smith-Schuster continue to step up as needed and hold it down for the time being. Juju is a very QB-friendly wideout for Mahomes. Leader in the room for sure, has had a couple productive games. Meanwhile, Hollywood, I think, is figuring out his role in this offense and getting the rust knocked off of him after missing time with the foot injury and then obviously most of last year as well. I do have concerns with the running back room, the least explosive room in the NFL, especially with the near disastrous mishaps with the backward passes last game to Pacheco as he ran the wrong direction. I don't know what was up with that. Mahomes basically took accountability for it, even though it's more on Pacheco than anything else. Then Andy Reid essentially said today, telling the media, he didn't want to have any backwards passes at all. That was not the goal. And he'd said this, quote, "We'll fix that." Well, okay then, if you say so. Something else I hope gets fixed is flags on Jawaan Taylor, who also had a rough game, albeit it was against a near elite defensive line. The Giants have a bunch of dogs there in the trenches, and Andy Reid This is what he had to say about Jawaan Taylor and the flags. When he doesn't have the penalties, the percentage has been good. You can argue he's one of the better tackles in pass pro. He continued saying he was conscious of what's going on, and I will take care of it from there. Well, yeah, Andy Reid is not wrong. Jawaan is at the top right of pass protection graphs, which is where you want your tackles to be. I mean, look at where Josh Simmons is, by the way. Holy first-team All-Pro incoming as a rookie. Let's freaking go. But the penalties negate positives in Jawaan Taylor's game. I mean, the guy has been flagged 50 times in 45 games with the Chiefs. That's obviously an average of just over a penalty a game. And Jawaan alone kills a drive or two every couple of games. The fact that he also lined up illegally on Sunday Night Football, his third year here with the team, is unacceptable at this point. I get that the guy was unfairly targeted in 2023, his first year in KC, but he once again leads the league in penalties this year among all tackles and has had plenty of time to adapt his play style because he's got to know by now the refs are really watching out for him, and he simply hasn't adjusted. I don't think they bench him yet or anything like that, but many around Chiefs Kingdom wish that they would. Maybe they aren't as high as we think they are on Jalen Moore on the right side, as he's really only worked in for Josh Simmons on the left side so far this season. Who knows? What I do know is that they need to execute at a higher level if they want to beat the Ravens, because as suspect as Baltimore's defense seems to be, Lamar Jackson and that offense are very high-powered. Lamar has thrown 9 touchdowns to 0 interceptions, but the killer for them is the fact that King Henry has lost 1 fumble every single game so far this season, which is crazy because he's only had 3 lost fumbles in 2 full seasons prior to that. Carl Loftus told the media today that fumbles aside with King Henry, he is very dangerous and he will make you pay if any of these guys miss a tackle out there. So they've got to account for him at all times, as well as Lamar and his ability to use his legs. Maintaining run lane integrity is paramount, and they all have a ton of respect for Lamar out there. He can run, he can throw, do it all. He plays at a very high level and is obviously a 2-time MVP for a reason. That offense over there is missing their all-pro fullback and Patrick Ricard with a calf strain. He might have a chance to play this week. We'll see. Another player with a chance of playing is tight end Isaiah Likely. They're tight end 2 behind Mark Andrews. He had foot surgery in August after suffering an injury during training camp, and he has a pretty decent shot at playing. So the defense, talking about Spags, the secondary out there, is going to be very busy. Mark Andrews is looking great so far. Led the team in receiving yards just last week, had a couple touchdowns. They also have Zay Flowers. Rashad Bateman just had 5 catches for 63 yards against Detroit. And that's why the secondary is going to have to be on their P's and Q's this Sunday. The good news is rookie cornerback Noel Williams is the 2nd highest graded corner in the NFL per PFF right now. It's a pretty small sample size, to be fair, for him in comparison to some of the others on the list, but still, he's looking good and has shown positive flashes outside of some penalties that are just going to have to happen from time to time with an aggressive corner, and the Chiefs play a lot of press coverage. Fulton being injured again with the ankle has upped Noel's playing time and has actually allowed McDuffie to play more in the slot. His slot snaps have increased every single week, and that's only going to help this defense. But hey, with all that being said, how are you feeling at the moment about this Chiefs team heading into week 4 against the Baltimore Ravens? On a scale of 1 to 10, how confident are you that they end up with the W? Let me know either way in the comments down below. And until next time, let's go. Let's freaking go. How about those